Hey everybody, this is Dr. Patrice Buckner Jackson, but y'all call me PBJ, and I am so excited today. I am so excited that I have the opportunity to introduce you all to my daddy. Now, I told you all last week that I'm a daddy's girl. I'm a self-proclaimed daddy's girl at 40 years old. And today you all get a little taste of that and you get to learn why that's so real to me. So my dad is here, Colonel retired George Fredrick, but I call him Daddy. Daddy, say hello to the people.
Good morning. How are y'all?
I'm so excited about this conversation, y'all. This is, if it never goes out to anybody else, this is going to be for us. This is kind of what we do on Saturday mornings, not on Zoom, but whenever we can on Saturday mornings with a cup of coffee, we're on the phone and we're figuring life out. We got a lot of answers for this world. I wish they would listen, but I just appreciate this bond and this connection that we have. So let's get into it. So Daddy, first of all, I do not have a list of all of your accomplishments, okay? But just to name a few. So retired colonel from the Army, you have a doctorate degree, you do research, you're an administrator at an institution of higher education. People call on you from all over this country for wisdom and for guidance and to help them with different projects. And somebody might look at all of those accomplishments and think there's no way. How in the world? That mark is too high. Or they might think they should be doing all of that right now. Please help us out. Tell us, introduce us to 20, 30-year-old Fred.
That is I hope y'all want ready for some real talk because I'm going to tell the truth. I have nothing to hide. I'm out of the Army now, so they can't do anything to me.
Give it to me.
But the 20, let me give you my story. My father was in the Army. My mother and my father divorced, and I moved back to rural South Carolina, Fairfax, South Carolina, from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Very intercultural, moving military town. And so it was a little bit of culture shock. But I did well. My mother and my grandmother loved me. I was the only child. My mother was the only child. My grandmother was the only child. My great grandfather was the only child. There was a pattern in our family. So might have been somewhat fatherless, but motherful and just full of love. Did well in high school, did the leadership things, a little bit of athletics, was going to West Point. SAT score was too low. So they sent me a note and told me to go to the Citadel for a year and then transfer in later on. So I attempted that, but at that time in history, either the Citadel was wrong or I was wrong. Probably both of us were wrong. So after a brief stint there, I left and I went back home, embarrassed, tail between my legs, because boy from the country is supposed to do well. And I think I worked in a textile mill for about a semester, and I said, okay, I'm going to get the Black experience. I'm going to Morehouse. So here I go to Morehouse College, Atlanta, Georgia. No one told me there was an all-girls school next door named Spelman. No one told me that could not be my major.
Oh boy.
No one told me that there was this place named the Underground that I probably shouldn't spend most of my life at. So I remember my father and I had a great relationship. I remember writing him a letter, and I said, no man, no fun, your son. And in his words, and this was letters, he wrote back, too bad, I'm sad, your so-and-so dad grew up. And about that time, I found out that my oldest daughter, my first daughter, was on the way. So I made me an appointment with a guy called a drill sergeant. And I went to the Army basic training. And prior to that, out of control is all I can say. Out of control, strayed away from the morals, the values, the faith that I was taught. Just lost my mind. Lucky, blessed to even survive it. The military helped. Met my bride there. Got out. Got married in my 20s. finished a college education, went back in the Army as an officer. And by the time I turned 30, I had 3 children with the 4th one on the way. So the early part of the 20s, I call it where I lost my mind. Somewhere about 24, 25, I regathered my mind, but I paid consequences for some of the mistakes I made. Mm. Some of the people I hurt, some of the dumb financial decisions I made, just because I wasn't in the right place. Yeah. But I learned from them, and I still continue to learn. Yeah. And then the 30s came. In the 30s, I almost full circle, 4 children, bought the home in the suburb. In Texas, they gave you a lot of house. I remember my first house was 3,500 square foot for $88,000.
Oh my goodness.
2-car garage. We had 2 cars. We had the kids. We had, I think one of them, Naija or Lamont, I think we even had them in private school, you know. Mm-hmm. Had connected to a good church, not great, but a good church. Had got that balance. Mm-hmm. Army was getting good. I mean, I didn't really like running growing up, but it looks somehow or another, I equated the analysis to, man, the more I run, the more money I make. I got promoted. Yeah. I kept getting promoted. Yeah. But I was also conscious because I was an infantry officer. And in the infantry, there are not a lot of African-American officers. There are not a lot of Hispanic officers. So that probably, some would say pressure. I won't say pressure. I would say that added to my professionalism because I wasn't going to let the people that come behind me pay a price for my stupid mistakes. Mm. So I probably struggled a little bit with balance in terms of work, family, and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Probably still do need to work on that a little bit, but that probably was a driving force because I knew nobody's going to give me anything. And anything I earned, I had to work probably twice as hard to be equal. Yeah. And I took that on. Now, I didn't want to complain about it. I knew people complain about it. Well, you can sit over here and complain, or you can do something about it. Yeah. And I decided to do something about it. Yeah. So the 30s, I think, got connected to some great churches. Oh, Hampton Roads and Pastor Barber. And I mean, gosh, it was just a good time in our lives. Yeah, 4 children, they get a little crazy every once in a while, but that's okay. Just like I did. You just stay consistent and things will work out in the end.
Mm-hmm. There's this thread of faith that you are talking about, Dad, and different, when you start to turn things around, you mention it as balance. Yes. And throughout the journey, you've identified some faith leaders that have helped. Talk to me a little bit more about what that means to you and why that thread of faith is so important.
As I sit and look at it this morning, I smile every day. You smile every day. Yeah. But you and I both know there have been some storms.
Oh, yeah.
And I've tried it the other way, go through those storms without that faith. And that was me. And I know some people like that today. Every day there's a crisis. Every month there's a crisis. I got relatives like I don't even want to talk to them because every time I talk to them, something's wrong, and they're not enjoying what He's already given us because of their doubt. That's right. As many people know, my wife Cassandra passed August 19, but she had a stroke February 2006. So we were in the care providing business for 16 years. And it was faith. I mean, doctor said she'd never walk, she'd never talk, she'd never do any of that stuff she did. She did it all.
She did it all.
She did it all.
And with fire.
Don't mess with her family.
That's right.
That faith, and for some reason, I don't know why, but in most places I've lived, one of my closest friends was always a pastor. When I moved to Statesboro, Reverend Grant Turner still is one of my great friends. I'm at a new church now, and that pastor and I are conversing quite often. And Pastor Barbara in Virginia, and Pastor Love back in Fort Benning, and I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
maybe they said, maybe God says, yeah, these special people need to put some special work on that boy over there.
What are the other contributing factors? What would you say throughout your life were those cornerstones, those things in addition to faith?
Not pressure, but self-motivation not to fail.
Mm.
I didn't want to let people down,
Yeah.
And my family, people tended to live long because I was a young teenager and my great grandparents were still alive,
Yeah.
and Big Mama was about 85 pounds soaking wet,
Yeah.
but Big Mama ruled the family.
Oh, yes,
All
she
right.
did.
And she would tell me some things and make me promise some things
Mm-hmm.
that I was going to do well, I was going to do right, I was going to be a good man. And I did lose my mind and forgot some of those things, but eventually I came back.
Yeah.
And I strive to come back now.
That's right. I remember. So I had my big mama, which is Daddy's great grandmother. I had my granny, which is Daddy's grandmother, and I had my grandma Ozella, which is Daddy's mama. I remember all of them. I spent time with all of them. I remember watching the stories, the soap operas with Big
Erica.
Mama. Erica Kane, that was her girl. I remember that. I remember enough, like some of those earlier memories are a little bit fuzzy, but I remember that Big Mama was a fighter. As small as she was, that she earned the name Big Mama. She ain't play no stuff. I remember that Granny was a entrepreneur. Like she sold stuff. I don't know what she was selling, but she sold stuff. I remember that. I remember Grandma, and of course all my memories of Grandma, but she loved hard. Oh my goodness. And loved on everybody. Everybody was your cousin. Everybody was your kin. And they knew if they showed up at the door, she was going to feed them and take care of them.
In fact, one of Big Mama things, I never forget, she was raising chickens.
Mm.
And I was over there, just her and I were outside. And she said, "You see them chickens, boy?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." "What's the difference?" Chickens. They was walking around. She said, "Let me show you something. The smart chickens walk on the high ground.
Mm.
The dumb chickens walk on the low ground and they get poop on their feet.
Yeah.
Stay on the high ground."
Man.
And then Grandma Angela, and I never forget her. Now, I was probably her heart.
I believe it.
I was probably her heart. And I couldn't have been no more than 6 or 7. And she'd say, "Come here, boy." And she'd pull up a chair and she'd be cooking. She said, "I want you to learn to cook because you're going to be too sorry to get a good wife." I was baking cakes and pies and collard greens. And I mean, if I was big enough to stand in the chair and get over the stove, I was helping her in the kitchen.
Oh, so first of all, let's just say that cooking continues. And I've been waiting on certain recipes since I was 25. Okay. When I was 20, I was told when you're 25, I'll give you the rib recipe. When I was 25, when you're 30, I'll give you the rib recipe. I am 40 and I still don't have the rib recipe. And Daddy kicks people out of his kitchen when he's cooking. So I just need the people to know that the cooking continues, but I don't know how we're going to get the recipe.
One day.
Tell me why you do that, Daddy, because you cook for the family every opportunity you get. That's just what you do.
Sometimes I couch it as, some guys hunt, some guys fish, some guys play golf. Cooking is something I truly, truly enjoy. As Grandma said, there's only 3 things you need to be successful in the kitchen. You need plenty of time, you need good ingredients, and you need love. If you got those 3 things, whatever you're doing, whatever you put in that pot, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And that was something, especially, after Mom had the stroke, that I could do the way our house is set up. I could be in the kitchen cooking, just look over there and see her, and I could always kind of balance both. And by the way, she was the best food critic in the world. She could smell it and say, she was honest, brutally honest. I don't know what you did this time. But
It's true.
so it just grew, and it
Yeah,
always it's joy. Families together, and what do? We eat.
yeah, yeah. And it always brings us home.
Yeah,
It always brings us home, no matter what, especially in the holidays. And this year is a little different. It's a little different. It's interesting. We'll figure it out though. But during this time of year, all I'm thinking about is getting home. Yeah, it brings us home. So last episode 9, I shared my perspective of some of our journey and how we got to where we are right now. Is there any perspective that you would like to add to that story?
yeah. I just want I'll take this platform to say publicly, um, I still to this day have great respect for your mother. Patricia is a wonderful lady, and she did a great job with you.
Yeah.
One of the things I really respect about her that I didn't see in a lot of people that had situations like us, um, was that whatever happened between her and I stayed between her and I.
That's right.
It wasn't the family business, it wasn't the town business, it wasn't the whoever business, it was our business, and that was it. And I really, really, really respect that. Um, it was not easy, but I knew something in my heart just told me, said, stay consistent, be there when you can. Let me remind her, I'm reading Patrick Lencioni, and he says, leaders need to be chief reminding officers.
Oh, that's good.
And something told me back then, years ago, every chance I get, tell you or try to show you that I love you. And I knew that this relationship would be good. I didn't know it would be this great.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking this week, after posting the episode, one of the things that I wish I had said that I want to say now is you kept pursuing me. And at the time, I couldn't see it. As a child, I couldn't understand it. It was just so many questions. I just couldn't understand it. But now, being where I am now and looking back, you kept pursuing me. If I was at grandma's house, which I was most Saturdays, there was at least a phone call. I knew there was going to be a phone call. And if you got home, there was a connection. Um, you continued even into my early adulthood. I remember being in Texas, and you saying, hey, there's a great university here that you could work at, you could get your doctorate, why don't you think about it? And at first I was thinking, man, you got to be kidding me. I'm 26, 27 years old. I'm not trying to live with I'm not trying to live in a parent's house. But you just kept dropping the seed. Every time we talked, you kept dropping the seed. Every time, dropping the seed. And this week, as I considered that, I thought about the love of our Heavenly Father and how He continues to pursue us. Even if we're angry with Him, if we feel like He's been unfair, if we feel like He doesn't love us, that
He doesn't hear us,
that He's not aware of
not
us,
aware.
whatever our emotions may be because of our life circumstances, we have a Heavenly Father who continues to pursue us. And who are we that He needs to do that? He's the creator of everything. He doesn't need anything. He's not lacking anything. He pursues us for us. He pursues us for us. So I wanted to acknowledge that and thank you for being consistent and continuing to pursue me even when I wasn't trying to receive it, because I had no idea it could be this good.
No, I didn't either. I knew it would be good. I didn't know it would be this great.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember your look on your face, and I said, one day you're going to be a preacher. I think he was going to get out of the car.
I was wondering if you remembered that conversation.
Oh, I remember that. We were in Virginia.
Yeah, we were. We
We were in
were.
Virginia.
I
Yeah.
never forgot that. And at that point, I was like, okay, he's going a little bit too far now. Like, this is a good moment, but he's going off. He's going off the rails. You always tell me, you said, baby, I'm not much for the past. I don't know too much about today, but I can see the future. What do you mean when you say that?
It's a talent or a gift, but also as a talent or a gift, guess what? You can lose it. But I've always been blessed to just visionary see things, not a prophet or anything,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I can see opportunities, and I can see things in a light that maybe others don't, and which then tells me, okay, here's the work that needs to be done to make that happen. That's what worked very well with Cassandra and I, prior to the stroke, because she was the today person,
Yeah.
and my job was to create the today
Yes.
of tomorrow.
Yes.
And that was a great yin and the yang and the balance. And yeah, she'd pull me by the shirt sometimes, sit down, just enjoy the moment. But
Yeah.
I'm sitting there saying, okay, the moment is here because I did the right thing way back when. But
That's right.
yeah, it's just something I work on.
Yeah. It's so two things I want to say from that. First of all, with you and mom, I call my biological mama, and then I call my mama Cassandra mom or mama Cassandra. With you and mom, it was a beautiful dance. It was a beautiful dance, and so often we think we need to attract somebody that's like us, and I really think that oftentimes that'll be a mess. The marriages and the relationships that I've seen flourish and grow and have some strength to it, not perfect, but have strength to it, are people who kind of complement, kind of that strengths quest kind of thing. I'm this and you're that, and it makes us bump heads, but when we put it together, it's like magic.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Unstoppable. So sometimes we push against what might be different, or if somebody doesn't completely align with our thoughts. One thing my husband Edward always tells me, he said, babe, we're not called to think alike, but we're called to think together. Because in the beginning of our marriage, I'm like, why can't you see it my way? You are wrong. That's not the answer. But he reminds me all the time, we're not supposed to think alike, but we are supposed to think together. Yes. And when we bring those things together, it really is unstoppable. It really is unstoppable. Talk to me about gifts. I'm going back, because you have this grasp on what you bring to the table. In a lot of our conversations, you reflect back on, this is what I do. You are a visionary. You are a strategic person. It makes sense that you were in infantry, because you can make a plan. You can see tomorrow and you can give us steps to get there. You're very confident about who you are and what you bring. How did you get there, and how do you communicate that to people, organizations now?
Yes. For whatever reasons, since high school, I've always somehow or another got involved in some kind of leadership or organizational capacity that was designed to help something or somebody. And I say that to say that I don't have this thing right yet. I'm working on it day by day. And what I've really learned, and I've said this to cadets for many years, leadership is not a light switch.
Yeah.
You just can't turn it on and turn it off. It has to stay on. And then, when the bulb burns out or gets dim, those people that work with you and for you and around you, they'll understand. And they'll just pick up the torch and the light will shine brighter. But it's a gift that you just can't I got it. That's it.
Yeah.
I love Simon Sinek, and what he said the other day, his vision is to create a world where people go to work each day, contribute each day, come home feeling valued and love on their families. I'm like, that's vision.
Yeah.
We may never get there.
Yeah.
But if we just try and get better and better, that's vision. I'm sorry, I got into Simon. Simon says a lot of things, and I get all
Go
over the
for
place.
it. I love
Give
it.
me that question again.
So how did you identify what your gifts are?
Yeah, it was a struggle, and then at points in my life, I wanted to be something that I wasn't. And he allowed me to go out there and fall on my face. And as Granddaddy Bill says, one of his favorite quotes is that, and it may sound chauvinistic, but he says that every man needs to be slammed on his back, because when he get up, he'll walk straight.
That's
So
what
I had to be slammed a few times, and he's right. I got up and I walked straight. And then at some point, it's like, okay, I surrender. This is what you want me to do. This is what you gave me, talents and gifts. I was thinking about, I listened to Les Brown. Les Brown tells a story of an elderly gentleman On his deathbed, doctor walked out and said, nothing else we can do. Closes his eyes, and I'm probably embellishing a little bit, opens his eyes, and there are these things standing around him. And there were all his gifts and his talents. Mm-hmm. And all of them are saying, why didn't you use me? Mm-hmm. Years ago, you said you were giving me, you recognized it, but you did not use me. And the guy says, okay, can I now give you to my children? He said, no, because you never used me. They didn't see how to use me. Therefore, they can't have me. Mm. And so part of his death was all those gifts and talents with him. And I just said, that can't be me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to leave it all on the field. I'm not going to be known as the one who didn't try. Will not win every game. Will not win every fight. But would darn sure compete.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Daddy, you have millennial children.
Yes.
I'm on the line. I'm teetering. I'm kind of millennial, kind of not, but my sisters and my brother definitely are. What inspires you about this generation, and also what concerns you?
Yes. Sometimes your greatest strength can be your greatest weakness.
Yeah.
One of mine, I'll start with me, is collaboration. I'm an ESTP, whatever. I like collaboration. I like consensus, Well, sometimes because of that, things are late, or you got to do extra work and all that. What I see from my three millennials, I see a daring, a will, yeah, I can question this, and I can speak. My generation, I was a soldier. Commander said something, that was it. Yeah. You can think what you want, but you're not going to say that. And I admire that. Only thing I caution is there's still something called decent and order.
That's right.
You got to earn the respect to get listened to. I was talking to one of my nephews, JR, I'm going to put you out there. JR's in Atlanta. JR graduated from a small school in Alabama. JR he is kicking it. He's an IT guy. He told me, he said, oh, I might be here 90 days and get another job right down the street, and they're going to let me work from home, whatever. That's your generation. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But I will just tell you that be patient. I've talked to some on campus who, they're going to graduate in May 2021. In their mind, by 2023, they're going to be the CEO of a company. Mm-hmm. That just doesn't happen. And if it does, it's rare. Mm-hmm. And which means now you got to be more careful.
Yeah.
And I ask people to stay connected. Sometime in certain communities, mine, we don't like to talk about money.
Yep.
We think big along those lines. Think about not having a mortgage at age 52. Those will give you options. Don't worry so much about your career. Your career may change. Since I've retired, I'm in my fourth job. And I'm not a millennial, okay? That stuff happens. That's okay.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're seeing your future and you're creating your future. You're not just letting it happen. You're getting the degrees, the certificates, saving the money, living less than your income. Mm-hmm. You're not Congress. You can't spend what you don't have. Be balanced. Stick to your faith. Because the storms are going to come. Yeah. They're going to come and they're going to go, and you're going to be getting ready for another one. But those that I've seen, and I've lived long enough to see some, high school teammate of mine, South Carolina, passed about a month ago. This kid left our high school, University of South Carolina basketball team. Wasn't happy there, transferred to University of Nebraska basketball team, Division I athlete. To my knowledge, he never finished school. Never finished school. I can't speak to why. I'm not making no excuses. I'm not blaming anybody. But we can't let books end like that.
Yeah.
You got to set our sights on something and go get it. Don't let people derail you. Love them from afar. We all have family members like that. We just finished reading this common read at our institution, Normal Sucks. Mm-hmm. If you get a chance, pick it up. Literally what the author's saying is, who defined normal? What is normal? Who was those people that said a normal family is 2.5 children?
Yeah.
I don't know anybody like that. And, you know, I read the research on the millennials, you know, this, you're lazy, whatever. I'm sitting there saying, no, they're smart.
Yeah.
they're very aggressive. The only thing I'm asking them to do is just understand it is a process. And part of that process is the maturing of them, just like my crazy 20s, okay? But by the end of my 20s and my 30s, I really started seeing the light.
Yeah.
But I had to put in some work first. I had to be humble. I had to
Mhm.
earn the respect so that, yes, when I did say something, now people would listen to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
it's
so
out
good.
there. It's out there. Opportunities out there. I was talking to a young person the other day. He was telling me how jacked up things are, and his issue was around he just didn't think he made enough money, and he don't know how to ask for a raise. I said, go get another job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go get another job. Go get a gig job. Drive Uber. But don't sit
Yes.
there and just wallow and complain. You know, you've been there 3 years and you want to make what the CEO makes. Come on, man. But we'll see what he does.
Gosh, that's so good. I love when you said, "Don't let the book end that way."
No.
And when I look at your path, I see that. So you could have said, "Well, the Citadel didn't work out, so college is not for me."
Go back to a
Or
textile plant.
yes, or Morehouse didn't work out, so college is not for me. And now you sit here as a doctor. You have a doctorate degree, and it wasn't the path. You didn't get that by 30. You didn't get that by 25. But I do believe the established path for George Frederick's life was laid out on purpose. And all things happened as they should because you kept going. You kept going. You stayed consistent, and that you have preached that to me so much when it came to raising my daughter, when it came to leading my team, anything. You constantly tell me, baby, stay consistent. Even when tragedy hits, when we've gone through death and other things in our family, you always are the picture of consistency. Like, Daddy, should we step back? You going to work? Yes, because life goes on,
It
and
goes
we've
on.
got to keep going. I'll never forget that lesson.
The first time it really hit me home about the importance of consistency was a second lieutenant. It was not in combat, but we lost a young soldier, and it was tough on me. And I remember, on behalf of a grateful nation, giving that flag to this 23-year-old wife who's holding a baby whose husband will never come back. And I had a great boss, Colonel Donald Madison. Oh my goodness. Checked on me later that day. I mean, he's a colonel. I'm a lieutenant. And we took a walk and we talked, and he says, be consistent because your soldiers are now looking at you. And if you're all over the map, guess where they're going to be?
Yeah.
But if there's a question and you're not in the room and they can answer that question because they know how you think, then you've done the right thing. And since that day, I just tried to be consistent. I remember somebody looked at us crazy when I said, yep, at my funeral, have it 11, 12 o'clock, tell everybody go back to work.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been blessed. I've lived a good life. I'm going to be here now 50, 60 more years, but
Yes.
y'all go back to work. Contribute to this economy.
Is there anything else, Daddy, that you would like to share or say? Or this is good, y'all. I get this every Saturday morning. This is what we do. Anything else?
Baby, I love you. I love all of y'all. It was amazing to me. I had no brothers and sisters. And to have 4 children that are so 4 different. Where did you get that from? The milkman? I mean, where did that come from? Y'all, believe it or not, I've learned a lot from y'all. I've learned to love and respect each one of you for who God made you to be. And there's nothing more important than faith, family, and then I say friends. When I say friends, that's small circle now.
Yeah.
That circle ain't like this here. Now I'm talking
Yeah.
about them real friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
them real friends. And I think that I asked the millennials to take a look at those priorities Enjoy life. The cup is half filled, it's not half empty.
Mm-hmm.
Smile every day. Laugh. If you got nothing else to laugh at yourself.
Yes.
Make somebody smile. I don't care if it's a janitor. I don't care. Make somebody else smile. Because no matter how long we live, it ain't long enough.
That's right.
And people are watching you when you don't know they're watching you. So set those examples. That's not more pressure. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to leave this place better than you found it.
I love it. Well, y'all, that's all. That's all for this week. And it always fills my cup to talk to my daddy. And I wanted to share that, our personal moments. I wanted to share that with you all. And on behalf of me and my daddy, I want to remind you that you are powerful, you are significant, and you are loved. Love always. PBJ.